Yo, yo, yo. What's
Here we
up,
are.
brother?
What's going
Mr.
on, brother?
Man, hey, it's been a day, broski. It's been a day. How about you?
It's been a day. It's been a day, but it's a beautiful
It's
day. My
crazy.
Georgia Southern Eagles are playing tonight. About to show Georgia State who the real GSU is. So we're cruising and bruising, brother.
Hey, before we move on the point of football, man, when I was at the store today, I met a Dolphins fan. I talked to this guy for like 5 minutes, just purely out of the fact that you're the only other Dolphins fan that I fucking know. And I was like,
Hey,
dude,
fins up.
I told him
Miami
about it.
Woodfins are gonna win the Super Bowl this year.
I was like, man, I'm 39 years old. I think you and my buddy Hunter are one of like 4 Dolphins fans I've ever met in my life. Anyway, John, Mr. Brewer, how are you? How you doing tonight? How was your day, brother?
Oh man, it was a day, like you said, but
Yeah.
it's getting a lot better right now. So
There you go.
you clocked out and got that pop top or that top popped.
I got my tried and true, man, my Tito's.
Tito.
Hey,
Hey man,
John's
I'm an
a
hour north
John's a
of
member
Boston.
of the Tito's Golf Club.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to deliver bottles from northern Louisiana down to Tito's here in Austin with actually I did it through Convoy, matter of fact, of all places, when I was a carrier. So that's pretty cool, man. I love Tito's vodka.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It is, man. It is. So we have an awesome show lined up for you guys tonight. Tonight we have our very first shipper, John here. He works for a pretty sizable company in the food industry, and we are going to talk to him, pick his brain, let him tell you guys a few things that he does, and maybe even clue y'all in on how to approach a shipper, even though you can't approach John because John's too big for you to deal with. So, but before we get into all of that, we are going to go ahead and follow with our news segment, and then we'll have a quick word from our sponsors. We'll roll right into talking to John, which Hunter and I are very excited about this. We follow John online for quite a while. And first comment, I guarantee, oh, man, it's not Kyle. Surprising. Hunter Cornet, I love what y'all doing. Hunter, we appreciate it, man. We're giving it our best, brother. We're giving it our best. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get into our news segment. I'm going to do some follow-up on talking about the strikes and specifically tied into our side of the industry when it comes to Mack Truck. If none of y'all have heard, it actually hasn't been in the media a lot like the Ford and GM and stuff was, but the UAW has striked at Mack, and it is affecting things over there as well. So with that said, here we go. Oh, if it'll pull up.
Nacho, shut the fuck up. Oh, sorry. I thought I was on mute. I was yelling at my dog.
Oh my God, brother. Oh my God. That was so funny and so
That was my
bad. All right. So as y'all can see, Mack Truck balks at unions' unreasonable demands. So make this short and sweet. The UAW, the United Auto Workers, took a strike at Mack Trucks earlier this month after a proposal that UAW made to Mack Trucks that was denied by a 73% margin. The strike is currently happening at 3 different facilities in Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Florida. As of last week, a list of demands was given to Mack from the UAW, and Mack said that they're unreasonable. And now we're at the point where they have been set back 3 months. I guess this has been going on behind the scenes for a couple of months before they actually went to and started striking. So the Mack president, Stephen Roy, says that they have already shown that they are prepared to provide our employees with significantly improved wages, but we are not prepared to jeopardize the company. And that goes back to the point I made right before that, where Mack just denied the list of demands that was given to them because they found them to be unreasonable and feel that they are going to jeopardize the financial security of the company. And along with that, not only does the strike have ramifications for Mack, but it also affects Volvo North America, because in the Maryland plant, they also assemble powertrains for Volvo. Now, a spokesman for Volvo did say that as of now, the strike has not affected any production for them, that they have already produced in advance stuff that they need for the current orders and models they have going on. But as long as the strike does not drag out, that will be the case. But if it is continued to be prolonged, then, obviously that will affect things with them. And I'll touch that back onto a previous news article where we talked about the purchase orders that have been put in for new trucks. They're already accepting orders for 2025. 2023 was booked last year. 2024 is already booked. So point being there, as we're already doing orders several years in advance. So if the strike continues, it'll obviously affect Volvo, Mack, and most likely some other ones. So, and also this apparently, which I didn't know, is not the first time Mack has dealt with a strike. Neither has Volvo. 2019, 3,500 employees went on strike for a couple weeks. Volvo got hit with the strike from the same union in 2021 that lasted over a month. So that is really the gist of that. And the reason I bring this up is Hunter and I touched on, we had an entire show a few weeks ago about unions. Had some great debate about it. People spoke about where their stance and stuff on it is. Me personally, I'm against unions, and this is the exact reason why right here. It's all about the worker, and I'm not against anyone knowing what they're worth, but just like this guy said, or this president said, the demands they made are so unreasonable that it could potentially put a 100-year-old company out of business. And there's no ground there, and these unions who think that they, or say they're speaking for you, they're speaking for themselves. Their only goal is to make money. They are a profit-driven business. They get money from your fees. The more money you make, the more money they take, and they lose really nothing in this because you're always going to be there. There's always going to be employees, and they'll just move on to the next company. So I think this is a bigger deal. As of now, the UAW, they're striking at the big three, Mack and Volvo trucks. So they're hitting us from several different avenues here, not only from the four-wheeler perspective, but now from the big truck perspective. This really could have some ramifications if it continues on. My son was in the car business, and he said that when he got out of it a few months ago, that they were already seeing the effects of it. People are trying to put in purchase orders and buy cars and from Dodge and Ford, and they're saying, hey, we can't help you until this is done. So it not only affects the companies, but it affects the people at the dealership levels and the shop levels as well. So with that said, there you go. I'll continue to follow this Mack truck one. Like I said, I brought it up because I haven't seen that it's got a lot of media attention. Freightways touched on it a while back. Commercial Carrier Journal, they're one of the second ones that I have seen that touched on it. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that and let you guys know how everything unfolds. And with that done, Hunter, do you want to take us to a sponsor break?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a download that song from Adobe Creative Cloud, dude. Put it on my playlist.
Yeah, might have played that quick, but
Dude,
but hey, our second sponsor, AccuBid Pro, Mr. Jimmy Durden. All you need for all of you owner operators out there, if you want to know your underlying costs to make your bottom line, win more business, know what you need to make, have everything in front of you, AccuBid Pro.
Don't be a victim of cheap freight anymore. Take back control. These are turbulent times for the transportation industry, with companies merging or even closing their doors. Whether you're going out on your own or leasing on with a new company, know your operating costs. Look out for you and bid better with AccuBid Pro.
Ba-ba!
I love that.
Lucky Bid Pro.
Oh my gosh, dude, I
Guys,
love it. I love it.
Jimmy Durden.
Hey,
Contact that man.
yes, dude, I actually got word today that Karen is going to sponsor us next month as well, along with Igor and Trucking Service Solutions. So going to have her back on as a guest and as a sponsor. So that is awesome, dude. Hey, Nick and Clint actually are bringing her some customers, man, from Shoreline Capital. Dude, they saw each other on the show, and Nick emailed me, said, "Hey, bro, can you hook me up with that insurance lady?" And dude, I mean, look, people doing business together from being on our little podunk show here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's pretty awesome, dude.
We're the modern day Robin Hoods, man. You know, keep it in the lines. But
I know that's right.
Without further ado, tonight's guest, the one and only Mr. John Brewer. If you haven't seen him on Facebook, definitely connect with him. He's one of the biggest players in the game, president of the Nashville Transportation Club. Spits facts. Boom.
What's up, guys?
Mr. JB, how's it going, brother?
Hey, Pedro, you're on mute, brother.
Oh, well, I do it all the time. It's all right. No worries.
It's the famous saying of 2022, you're on mute.
Oh my God! Oh, that is so funny, man. Oh man. Hey, as Hunter said, how are things going in your logistics world, Captain?
It's not too bad. You know, we're all living kind of in this wild west. I mentioned earlier, you know, COVID and beyond has been kind of uncharted territory. I've been in the industry a real long time, more time than I care to admit. And I've seen a lot of things. You know, I went through 9/11. That was interesting. And so this is something new for me. And we're just, you know, kind of keeping an eye to the sky, looking for calmer seas and fair skies. So I think that's what everybody's kind of in a holding pattern right now.
That is exactly. I loved you put it that way. Yes, a holding pattern, man. In the wild west, everything and all. It is so truthful of where we currently at. And before we get into talking to you a little more, John, you want to tell us about yourself, a little bit of your background, give people the skinny on kind of who you are, what you do, what you know.
Sure. Been in the industry, like I said, a long time. I think it's coming up on 3 decades. Hauled a lot of different things, shipped a lot of different things. Been in the food side of the business almost 20 of that 30. So it's, you know, I've done distribution, I've done logistics. I actually cut my teeth in this industry for a small asset-based carrier in Memphis as a short haul dispatcher. That's where I jumped in. You probably remember MS Carriers at one time. That one's way back there with the cab over.
I do. I remember them.
You'll see me post from time to time that cab overs are sexy. I like cab. There's a special place in my heart for cab overs. Always have been.
I love cab overs too.
They'll beat the hell out of you, but they look badass as hell going down the highway. So did that. And
it's funny you mentioned that. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I jumped the fence.
I was going to say it's funny you mentioned that. I literally just watched.
You did what now?
Nothing. Go ahead. It's the delay. Keep going. You jumped the fence, and then what?
Got on the traffic side of things. It was called traffic back then, which I think is a very apropos term. And you know, just been in it ever since. Right now, what I do is I handle all the restaurants in the United States, all 50 states, making sure they get products to deliver to our customers. So to sell to our customers. And it's an interesting world. It's been an interesting world, but this is, you know, every company I go to is a very unique experience, has its own challenges. And I am not bored by any stretch of the imagination. So
Impossible to be in this industry.
I know. I freaking know. That's right, man. So, what type of volume do y'all do? You know, as far as like truckloads, and well, I'll let you answer that, and I'll ask my follow up.
I'm not sure on the number of loads. We have a pretty hefty spend. We have a multi-million-dollar spend getting in, getting the product into the DCs, and then the DCs handle the final mile. So it's a pretty good size operation.
Yeah, and do y'all go ahead, Hunter?
Well, I'd ask, like, John, you and I talk, and it's a very complex system, like with you're talking about like French fries that get delivered or just need somewhere to go. What are some of the biggest issues you deal with in, being over such a complex system? How do you deal with that on the day to day?
I always say I'm the epitome of better to be lucky than good. So, just, it is a complex supply chain. We deal with a lot of different things. We deal with, obviously late deliveries, both inbound and out. We deal with, just, it's kind of hard to put a finger on it because it's different every day, but just it's kind of like your usual supply chain issues, but you deal with them on a lot larger basis. So, we're doing coast to coast, and anything can go wrong. I get calls from 6 o'clock in the morning till 7, 8 o'clock at night because of the West Coast guys. And, just being there for them and being there when they're actually working so that they have a support line, to help them out and fix things. I'll give you an example this week, and it's a really simple example. So we have a couple of brands that are Mexican food. One is Green Burrito, which is on the West Coast side, and one is Red Burrito on the East Coast side. And every time our restaurants ordered a bundle of cilantro, they got a case. So if you know anything about cilantro, you probably don't need a case. So we did some research to find out the DC was auto subbing a case for a bunch, and we fixed it so that they would only get a bunch. So hopefully made some people happy that they weren't getting 6 pounds of cilantro. I don't even know.
Did that? I would assume that saved y'all some money as well over the long haul. With obviously conserving on the product. Not having to order as much, not sending out as much, and being able to keep a lower stock. Would that be a correct assumption?
Yes, and it also helped with shelf life because everybody knows produce has shelf life. So we're not throwing away as much cilantro as we used to.
So my question is, and you and I talked about this for the show, is I love the complexity that is logistics, and someone that has touched pretty much every side of this. I've been a driver, logistics manager, transportation manager, safety guy, broker, dispatcher. I've freaking done it all. What does your supply chain in a sense look like? Like, is every bit of your carriers, or is it all subcontracted owner operators? Do y'all operate any of your own assets? And in that, what does it look like on both sides? Is it all outside help bringing it in, and then from your facilities, it's your stuff taking it out? Could you explain a little bit more of how that circle of your supply chain kind of works in that sense?
Sure. We partner with third parties all the way through. Our suppliers, either our suppliers or distributors, manage kind of the inbound logistics, if you will, and then our distribution partners manage the final mile. So I work with a lot of different people to get a lot of different products moved to a lot of different places.
How many hubs are y'all running out of? And I assume you guys, do you use a third party for your final mile distribution as well, correct?
Yes, we actually use 2.
Two. Okay, yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure I know who one of them is because I've
You
seen it there.
do know who one of them is.
I do know. With that said, and knowing who one of them is, like, you know, how many? Maybe you don't know, but how many different facilities do you think that y'all are running your product into to get distributed to your stores?
Coast to coast, we have 18 third-party asset DCs.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. I mean, I can see where having it placed like that, especially in a strategic manner, you know, we talk about shelf life and knowing that a lot of your stuff is perishable, you know, that sense of urgency getting it there, you know, having it in a small regional deal, you know, helps to improve that shelf life and make sure that all of your stores are stocked up pretty good. What kind of levels like stock levels y'all keep? How much beef do you keep on hand at a DC, or how much do you ship a year? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Oh man, come on, John.
A ton of beef, man. Truckloads of beef.
Man. Hey,
Are we talking about real beef, or are we talking about beef with brokers and truck drivers?
It's all Angus, baby. It's all Angus.
I got a beef customer turning on to, man. They're a high end beef customer, dude. Their stuff's good, man. Hunter, but ask some questions, man. I want you to ask some stuff too.
Rob, what's your favorite color? I mean, I'm just kidding. So John, you've been in this industry for a long time. We've talked about plenty of things last week. You know, in the sense of this being a shipper market and the conversation between brokers and carriers and between you and whoever you work with, what do you think in this market will be the turnaround? You know, like obviously we're saying that right now it's a shipper's market. John, you brought up that this is somehow going to become a carrier market again. I don't know where that money's going to come from, but you know, from what's your standpoint? What are you seeing from the desk in Franklin, Tennessee? Like,
I got two words for you: consumer confidence.
Okay.
So how that works is trucks move the bulk of consumer goods. So if consumer confidence is low, nobody's buying anything. Volume is low. If consumer confidence is high, everybody and their brother's buying everything, and the loads are plentiful and the trucks are lower. So
Right.
there's a lot of things that impact consumer confidence. Now, if you think back to COVID, when they were handing out the stimulus checks and everybody was at home, you know, your Home Depots, your Lowe's, your Amazons, I mean, those boys racked up because everybody was doing stuff to their house. They were building home offices because they were remote. You know, they were putting an addition on the patio, blah, blah, blah. They were buying all this stuff. So the volume was higher.
That's funny you said that. I was running Home Depot during COVID.
So now it's lower. And the two major things, and this is just my personal opinion, I definitely could be wrong. The two major things that are pushing consumer confidence down are inflation and interest rates. And until those things level off or cool off, consumer confidence is probably going to stay low. And then everybody knows, and I'm not going to get political here, but everybody knows a presidential election is going to affect the market as well.
We just talked about that, John. Like, oh my God, we have touched on it so many times. It's good to hear another professional agree with it.
That's a huge play, you know, regardless of your party affiliation, regardless of who you like and who you don't. A presidential election always affects supply chain. It always will.
Yep.
So that I think everybody's kind of got their eyes on the prize for November 24. What's going to happen? And how is that going to impact the supply chain? So, you know, before COVID, you know, we say this is a cyclical business. So when I tell you that it will become a carrier's market at some point in time, I'm not blowing smoke. Typically before COVID, the cycle would turn every 12 to 18 months. Now, COVID
Right.
has changed all that. And I couldn't tell you now if I tried and had, you guys call me in a year or two and say, John, you're full of crap. But it's obviously that cycle has gotten longer and it's more dynamic. In other words, the valleys are lower, the peaks are higher than normal. So that's, like I said, when I said everybody's in a holding pattern, myself included, that's kind of what we're watching. We're watching the presidential election. We're watching the interest rates from the Fed. We're watching the inflation, and we're watching all these things. And because we know that if we look at these barometers, we'll eventually know when this thing is going to turn. Now, I will tell you this, another thing that I look at, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but it makes perfect sense, is the housing market. So, and not just specific areas, because Nashville right now is blowing up. So Nashville's not a real good barometer, but if you look at the country as a whole on housing starts, or you can even go so far as I do, because I'm a freight geek at heart, I look at the ratio of loads to trucks in the flatbed industry, because that's how most of your housing products are delivered. It tells you when the economy is going to pick up. When housing starts to pick up, that's the early signs of a barometer that the economy is going to pick up, because people are buying houses and they can afford houses in given markets, and you got to look at it as a whole. So one of the publications that I treat like the Bible is the Morgan Stanley Freight Index. And it's got flatbed, it's got reefer, it's got dry. But I look at the reefer because most of our stuff moves reefer. And then I also look at the flatbed to see, what is that indication? When the capacity starts to tighten, that's a positive sign that the economy is probably moving positively more than negatively.
Absolutely. That's an interesting side of things, man. Like
the
housing market's good. People got money
that,
to buy houses that have money to buy product. But yeah, to your point, man, with the inflation, with money, like that's really the killer right now. People can't afford groceries, much less,
Money's expensive. Money's expensive right now. Dude, I mean, if you can't pay cash for something right now, you're probably not going to buy something.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not going to go out and buy a house. I'm not going to go out and buy a car right now. I mean, I got low interest rates locked in, when COVID first started. I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to go from a 3.25% loan to a 7.25% loan. Why would I do that?
I know you're right. I get calls all the time, and I used to hang up on them, but now I like messing with them, and they're like, we can refinance, we can get you better this, better that, and I can lower your payments. And I was like, okay, can you beat a 2.75 interest rate? No, we can't. All right, click. Because I bought my house at the end of the recession in the late 2000s. 2000. I bought my home in 2012. Right as the housing market was just starting to recover. So I got a killer interest rate, and same thing. My house almost doubled in value, but it's like I could sell it and go buy something else, but would just be upside down in the end, So, but
if you don't move to a geography with a lower cost of living, you're not making anything.
Oh, no, and I already live. I mean, I live in Texas, which has already got a pretty low cost, but I live next to a military base, which, they're just notoriously known to have, low living costs, unless you're in, like New York or Hawaii, those kinds of places. But, things around here are pretty cheap. But
low living costs in New York.
Yeah, right, dude. However, I will say, I'll say this when we move on. I have a friend of mine. He's a medical recruiter from the Army. Dude lives outside of Syracuse. He got 100-year-old, 3,000 square foot house on 3 acres with a barn, a shop, a garage for $168,000. He sold his house right next door to me for $250,000. And I mean, so it cost a lot in a way, but like, dude, the houses up there are super cheap. It's so freaking crazy. But anyway, John, to get back on what you were saying about the inflation and all that. So from a logistical standpoint, do y'all forecast for that, for what you were talking about, of the way the economy's going and trying to look at consumer spending and make the decisions of, hey, we need less stuff then, we need to, inbound less things, and we need to be outbounding less things to make sure that our product levels stay low and cost and overhead stays low as well. Is that something that y'all plan for in a I want to say a good distance, but I can't think of the word, forecast far out, I should say.
Yeah, it's I mean, we don't, it's not our number one priority, because obviously, service to the public is our number one priority. We want to make sure we have our products for our customers, but we do keep an eye on it. Obviously we're looking at ways, we're trying to think outside the box to figure out ways to cut cost if we can, without upsetting the service level. The service is number one here. So
yeah, of course. So to piggyback off of that and to touch back on us talking about how currently right now it's a shipper's market and the cyclicalness, if that's even a damn word, of our market. Do you as a shipper, do you also forecast and having a plan and saying, hey, we eventually know that what we're paying $2 a mile for right now, as an example, we are eventually going to be paying $3 a mile. And, do y'all think about those things in advance, or is it just something, hey, we kind of, put our hands up in the air, hope for the best, and just see where everything falls?
no, we do look at that, and we do try to find ways to mitigate that, and that's where I mentioned, I think before we went live, that the relationship side of the business, that's where that really comes in. I think I mentioned that we haven't asked any of our carriers to take a discount or a deduction. So what you put out there is what you get. But at the same time, we expect when the market does change, we expect you to treat us the same way. I don't like the roller coaster method that Hunter provided a minute ago, and he was spot on when he said it. I like a nice flat line. It helps me prepare my budget. It helps my brokers and my carriers to understand their stream of revenue over the course of months, so that they know what they can count on, they know what they can't. And anytime you get in there and you try to split the spot market, or you try to gouge people when the markets change, it always comes back to bite you. So sometimes, you'll hear me say that the cheapest rate is not always the cheapest rate. And I firmly believe in that. There's a lot of soft costs that you really can't put your finger on when that comes up. But, if you treat your carrier partners and your broker partners, with respect, and you give them a sustainable rate, then, if they're genuine, if they're in a true partnership, then they're going to do the same thing for you. The funny thing is when the market goes one way or the other, whether it's a shipper's market or whether it's a carrier's market, everybody starts talking about partnership and relationships. Well, there's a whole lot of talk about it, but there's not a lot of people doing anything about it. What I've done for the last 3 decades is I've talked the talk and I've walked the walk. And, I won't, I'm not going to throw somebody out for a nickel a mile savings. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go back to my carrier base and say, hey, I know you quoted me $1.50, but the market's at $1.25. I need you to come down. I'm not going to do that. Where I grew up at and the way I live is your word is your bond. Your handshake is your bond. And I know we have to have contracts now because attorneys need paychecks, but if I tell you it's $1.50, it's $1.50. It's $1.50 today. It'll be $1.50 tomorrow. It'll be $1.50 for the duration of the bid.
Yeah.
And that's how it's going to be. And the market, the market can be soft. The market can be hard. It's still going to be $1.50. I mean, back when I was doing it pre-COVID, we would do annual contracts. Well, everybody knows that first quarter is typically soft. So the rate market is down. But fourth quarter is typically high because capacity is tight and everybody's trying to get all their stuff out for Christmas and whatnot. I'm telling you, I'm going to pay you $1.50 in first quarter, and I'm going to pay you $1.50 in fourth quarter, so I can budget my transportation spend and have some semblance of knowing what's going on. On the flip side, what that means for you is, you know that my revenue is going to be X in first quarter and X in fourth quarter, and it's going to be the same, and you can count on that across the year. It's almost like a batting average thing. You're not going to knock everyone out of the park, but if your batting average stays where you need it to be, then who cares?
Yeah, and I'll touch on the roller coaster thing he said, and kind of and tied into the annual bids that you're speaking of. So I just got done with an RFQ, probably the 20th I've done this year, but this one is for a humongous floor and tile company, 132 lanes, and some of those lanes, man, they're so easy to rate, and actually explained this to someone on Facebook today, how when you bid an RFQ or an annual bid, like, you need to be able to study the market, know what the market's supposed to do, know when it's soft, know when it's hard, know where your median points are, and be able to rate accordingly. And since COVID, man, these some of these lanes, like, it's crazy. It was $2,000 last month. It was $2,500 the month before. Then it was $1,500. Now it's $1,200, and you're lost. And because even like you're trying to plan out your budget, myself as a broker, I'm trying to plan out my same thing. If I'm bidding this and I get this volume, this is what my revenue is going to be, my profit. This is what I can afford to put into my truck, how much I can pay them. Is that rate going to be sustainable in Q1 all the way through Q4? Or am I going to get into Q3 and I'm looking for all new carriers because the market has changed? And it really is, man. It's a real difficult thing. And I also want to touch on the service thing that you said.
Give me just a second.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. He's got to go deal with his corgis.
Well, while we're at it, here's a message from our sponsors.
Don't be a victim of cheap freight anymore. Take back control. These are turbulent times for the transportation industry, with companies merging or even closing their doors. Whether you're going out on your own or leasing on with a new company, know your operating costs. Look out for you and bid better with AccuBid Pro.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
AccuBid Pro.
This is Nacho. He's the one that keeps digging out. He's the best.
Nacho Libre. Dude, that's so funny. You're going to have to tell everybody the story about your dogs digging out one day. That shit's so hilarious. They're little escape
Dude,
artists.
they've dug out every single day.
That's
but
so
AccuBid Pro. He's in the game.
AccuBid Pro, app available in the Apple Google Play Store. All you owner operators help you figure out your cost per mile, so you know at what point you're profitable at. Teaches you how to bid better, and helps you put your business on a path to longevity. And our new sponsor that we just started and was oh crap, look at that right there. That is not right. Sorry about that. All right, our new sponsor that was on the show with us last night, Igor, Trucking Service Solutions. They have an amazing platform. You go on the website that is scrolling at the bottom right now. If you're a carrier, you're on the road, you need anything, you need a truck wash, tire change, oil change, any of those things, you put in your location, set a radius, check what service you need, and it'll pop up and generate results within the search radius that you set. They are right now working on an app that should be available in the application stores here soon. And once that happens, we will have Igor back on to talk about that. Yeah.
Let's if we could, let's pick back up where you were talking.
Yes.
The market, you're exactly right. The market can be volatile, and a shipper, if a shipper is educated on the market, they know that. And nobody likes to be surprised. Okay. Obviously, brokers don't like to be surprised. Carriers don't like to be surprised. And I can honestly tell you, shippers don't like to be surprised. And the way you mitigate those surprises or those bumps in the market is through communication and constantly be talking to your carrier partners, your broker partners, and have those frank business discussions. You know, if it's something that's completely out of control, you know, you can work together to come to a compromise and figure it out so that it works for both people. Because at the end of the day, if you think about this, so, you know, number one, I think 12-month contracts are gone, at least for the moment. It's more 3 months, 6 month kind of stuff because the market is so volatile. And again, you're a shipper such as myself. I try to educate myself on that so that I understand that. But you can also sit down and have these frank business discussions, because if you're hauling a lane at a loss, that's not good. I mean, your service is going to get impacted. You know, you're going to miss pickups. You're going to do this, you know, and at least for my organization, service is key. I mean, you know, it's not JIT, but I mean, we don't need to be sitting on loads 3-4 days either. So, you know, we want to be sustainable. We want to have sustainable rates. We want to have sustainable partners. And if one of our partners is not doing, you know, they're not being able to be sustainable, then we need to work with them and come up with some type of a compromise that will help them get through the hard times. So if somebody will talk to me and tell me what's going on, then I'm going to listen, and together we're going to put our heads together and say, well, what if we do this, or what if we do that, or what if we go here, or what if we bump it this much and, you know, we cover the lumper fee, or, you know, whatever it is. You know, you can work things out. This industry I have been doing for an extremely long time, and we've always been able to work things out. You know, as long as we had a spirit of collaboration, as long as we had a spirit of partnership, we always work together. You know, they say 2 heads are better than one, and that's 100% true. You know, you bring your stuff to the table, and we sit here and we go, okay, what can we do? And I find that working with carriers and brokers in that manner solidifies the relationship, solidifies the partnership. It's a long-term game. Me personally, I'm always going to play the long term. I'm going to play the long game every time, because what worked today is not going to work tomorrow. So you got to find something that's built to last, something that's going to work, and those relationships are going to be what saves you. You know, being able to have those frank discussions, being able to have that, you can come and talk to me and you know, you can say, hey, John, you know, this rate sucks. And then we start peeling the onion back from there and trying to figure out, okay, what can we do? You know, it may mean, you know, moving that lane to somebody else. Well, that's okay. That doesn't mean you're going to lose every stitch of business that you have, because that's not how you don't cut your nose off to spite your face, even though there probably are people in this industry that do, because there's people everywhere that do. So, you know, if the lane's not working or whatever, then we work together and we mitigate that. And if you do that in a spirit of cooperation and partnership, then that doesn't hurt your future business endeavors. And there's always future business. There's always business that's coming up. Everything's constantly evolving. Every company I've ever worked at has evolved. So, you know, being able to have those frank discussions, having that tight bond, you know, you're transparent, I'm transparent, and we can work through the hard times and sail through the soft ones. You know what I mean?
I do.
Absolutely.
And, John, I'm so glad you brought that up, man. And I will say that, you know, to touch on the whole service thing, you know, you're right. It is one of my favorite words right now in the industry is trite. And for people that don't know what the word trite means, it means overused. You know, like, you know, everybody says, hi, good day. It's just overused. It's trite. But it's so trite. It's so trite in the industry. Everybody's, oh, I got the lowest cost. I got the best service. I do this. I do that. And I'll tell you, to me, the number one key to service is exactly the point that you touched on, and that's communication. I think that a lot of brokers, even carriers, when they're dealing with just a broker, they have a problem having those hard conversations. You know, they don't want to go to you, John, and say, hey, I bid this at the time, this worked, or I had this many trucks, I can make this happen. But currently, that's not the situation. They would rather just eat that cost, make that loss, or have service failures versus just going to you. And like you said, having a simple conversation. And that's one of the things that I actually love doing is being able to call one of my, or I should say, I love being able to do is being able to call my customers. I have a seafood customer right now, incredible people. And I bid their stuff accordingly, but a lot of their stuff is LTL and it's reefer. So sometimes it has to be a dedicated truck. An LTL rate won't work. And I called the guy and said, hey, I know you think it's going to cost $600 to get this done, but I'm telling you, it's going to cost $1,000. And that's just what it's going to be. And I explained it to him and he's like, okay, that's fine. Just get it done. And I appreciate it. One of my favorite customers, you're talking about the bids. One of my favorite customers right now, John, I wish everybody did this. They have a platform, a TMS system that I can go in and rebid every lane that I do anytime. I could redo it every single day if I want to. And it goes in and they approve it or deny it every day. A few weeks ago, I did the same thing. I bid stuff last year and I noticed I lost a couple of lanes. And I called him and he said, hey, man, somebody like really, really undercut you. I went in, was able to change them. I lost on 5 of those lanes 2 weeks in a row. Went in, changed the rate again, and boom, they're still mine. And that's because I called him, instead of just taking that loss and not saying anything. I called and he said, hey, somebody beat you by a lot, man. It bought your service. It's an explicit amount of savings, and we had to go another direction. But I do like how you do business. If you'll rebid, we'll see if we can work together. And I did. I picked up, 40-something lanes from a guy over a 2-minute conversation, just simple communication.
Oh, dude.
Conversation.
Uncomfortable conversations, like if you're like in your example, Rob, if you're already losing the business, what's the call gonna hurt? Hey, you show that you care, and if you lose it, you still lost it either way. But like you learn a little bit along the way. Yeah, like this isn't some rainbows and unicorns. Like
it is, and I have a fantastic
that thick skin. You gotta have that thick skin.
You're
Kevlar,
right,
baby. Kevlar.
Yes. because I've got a great relationship with these guys, man. I mean, if I need to roll a load over till the next day or, even 2 days, it's happened, because some of their stuff comes out of the middle of nowhere, Virginia. There's not a lot of trucks there, but it's like, hey, I know you're going to get it done. That's fine. Like, dude, just get it done. I don't care. I'll tell my customer what's happening, but it's all because of that communication, letting them know this is where I stand. I know this is where you need to be. But as John said, we've got to meet in the middle somewhere. We got to make sure it's both beneficial, whether I lose the business or whatever the case is. We got to make sure both people are in a good position here. And I just don't think nobody really does that, level of service like they say. I think that's probably the most important part of it.
I completely agree with that. And like I said, the relational side, I mean, I've worked with reps 10, 15 years. They don't even have to pitch me. I go to a new company. I call them up. I said, hey, I need you in here. But it's because we have that relationship and we can go talk about these things and we can work through them. I have that partnership. I trust them. They've earned my trust. And, I've earned their trust. And, it's a two-way street. I mean, this whole thing, the bulk of the roller coaster ride is driven because brokers against carriers, carriers against brokers, shippers against brokers and carriers. I mean, guys, at the end of the day, we're all walking through the valley of the shadow of death. We might as well be holding hands.
Yeah, right.
Because I mean, we're all doomed. I mean, we're all set up to fail. The odds against us are huge. Nobody really wants us to win. They want to point their fingers at us when we lose. We are the ultimate underdogs in this industry. If we're not working together and collaboratively, we're screwing ourselves.
I agree.
And as a shipper, I'm smart enough to figure that out, because here's the deal. Here's the play at the plate. Okay. If my carrier or my broker fails, guess what? I failed too. Now I can be an asshole and throw them under the bus, but at the end of the day, I chose that carrier or I chose that broker, and my company's looking at me. Well, if you throw them under the bus, why did you pick them in the first place? They're questioning my ability to move the freight. And I don't want them to do that. So it behooves me to set my carriers up and my brokers up for success. If that's having the hard conversations, that's having the hard conversations. If that's making absolutely sure that, you can call my cell phone at 8:00 at night with an issue, that's what that means. Because at the end of the day, this is my ultimate rubber meets the road philosophy. If the cash register in that restaurant does not ring, we've all failed. Everybody's failed. I've failed, you failed, everybody. The whole company has failed. So I'm going to do everything in my power in the jurisdiction that I have to make sure that cash register rings, come hell or high water. And if that means talking to you at 8:00 at night, trying to figure out how we're going to fix a blown engine and get that thing repowered to get that product where it needs to be, that's what the hell it means.
Yeah. And it's funny you talk about this, and the thought just popped into my head is that the irony of that situation is that it seems the only time that all three of us, the carrier, the broker, the shipper, can really truly work together is when there's a problem. Like at no other point can everybody just honestly, like all the time, seem to figure it out. It's like, oh, my engine's broke down. Now we all have to come together and figure out how we're going to make this solution. And everybody's friends, and we're all going to buy each other beers when everything's done. But I talk about all the time, John, about that we really need more collaboration from all of us. It really is. It is a you against me, me against you, us against them type situation, and it has been for as long as I've been in this industry, and that's creeping up on 17 years. And I really think that to touch on what you said about COVID, it completely turned everything up on its head. It made everybody's relationship with everybody, I think, a little worse. Brokers, shippers, carriers, brokers, carriers, and I think that honestly is because during that time, and maybe people disagree with me, but greed started overriding a lot of other things in this industry. It was all about, gimme. And then when it all had to level back out, it was everybody blaming everybody. And now the relationship is destroyed because the carriers think that the broker or the shippers are still paying these outrageous amounts per mile, and the brokers are still in all the money. And the brokers in a way are upset because the shippers caught on to the fact that they're like, you got me for $4 a mile for 2 years, you son of a bitch. Now you got $1.50, and it's really taken to a level. And in my Facebook group, I have a Facebook group, 44,000 people, and I try to be the devil's advocate between brokers and carriers and shippers. And I really try to tell people, man, it is not what you think it is. You're getting information from some moron in a truck stop bathroom who has never been on the other side of this transaction, doesn't know what's going on, or you're talking to some stupid TQL broker that was trained by some other idiot, doesn't know what's going on. And this is the reality of the situation. And I see you laughing, Hunter. Don't laugh at me, bro.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I think the collaboration, we really somehow, some way, and I don't know how to happen or if it will ever happen again, but we all need to really come back and realize that we all have our part and our play in this system. And without each other, one part of the machine doesn't work. And everyone's got to try to figure out some type of a meeting ground on cost, on service, on communication, on all of it. And I think if we don't, which I don't foresee it happening, it's just going to continue to be the roller coaster that Hunter described that we're having.
And that's why I've done this in the good times and the bad. So I have the same relationship. A carrier can come to me when the times are good. A carrier can come to me when the times are bad, because this is a 24/7, 365 deal. It doesn't stop just because things are good. It doesn't stop because things are bad. So I have preached this for years, and I mean years. And the partners that I bring on, they understand that for me, because like I said, I'm not only talking the talk, I'm not sitting here talking partnership or relationship and not doing anything about it. I do stuff about it all the time, even when it's good, because you got to reinforce that. You got to let them know they have a safe space. From a shipper standpoint, they have a safe space to come talk to you, to come speak with you frankly, And they know that they're going to be heard, and B, you're going to try to do something to help them get to where they need to be. That could be a distribution center holding up your trucks.
Yeah.
And eating all your hours of service. I mean, it could be anything. And I've done that for the whole time I've been doing this, and I'm not going to stop. So yeah, I'll tell you flat out, I feel like I'm in the minority as far as shippers go. I'm not going to lie to you.
1,000%, brother.
I'm not going to lie to you. And there's more bad apples out there in all three of our areas than they're good. But the good ones are going to come to the surface. The good ones are going to partner, and the good ones are going to be successful in this industry.
You know what? I love what you said, and I kind of want to touch on that, man. That I honestly think the ones like ourselves that have been in this, me 17 years, you 3 decades, Hunter, I think you've been in this 5, 6, something like that.
We're pushing a decade around.
Oh, are you? Okay, my bad, bro. But the point is it goes to show that the ones of us that are like you and are of like-minded people, that time in service, as we say in the military, shows that you're the one worth doing business with, that you know what you're doing. Because, just like anything, you can't survive in something very long if you don't know what you're doing, you don't do good business, and you don't know how to operate effectively, efficiently, and be able to hit target every single time.
Anybody who's worth their salt in any of these 3 areas is not going to do business with you if you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed. And it sucks that it really is honestly getting harder and harder to figure out who those people are, man. There's so many idiots in this industry that don't know things, so much fraud, so many scams, even from
the Crusaders.
Dude, the COVID Crusaders. That's what Hunter and I call them, the COVID Crusaders. But anyhow,
so here's what I've started doing, and I want to share this with you.
Yeah.
So I've had a few brokerage houses reach out to me, and I actually did one, I think it was yesterday, and they've got young sales groups, young salesmen, sales ladies, whatever you call them these days. And I'm actually giving them my time, and I'm talking to them just like I'm talking to you guys. So I'm telling them this is what I do, and this is how I do it, in hopes that when they start getting out there and selling in this world, that they're going to carry on some of this stuff, some of these things. And so I'm trying to get it at the beginning of the train and start infusing that. Now I'm one voice in millions. Okay. But if I can make a difference in any of these young people's lives, help them be more successful at what they're doing, help them be successful for their family so they can take care of their family, and give them some bedrock foundation that they can live off of, and say, hey, this asshole from Mississippi told me to do X, Y, and Z, so I'm doing X, Y, and Z. But I'm already doing that. I'm handing that information down. Any outlet I can preach on, I'm preaching. Now, am I going to move the needle? Probably not. But if I move the needle with a few companies, then that's better than none at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. And like I said, I try to do the same thing on my side with both new brokers and somewhat seasoned brokers and carriers and even dispatchers, trying to feed people the right information. And not that I know everything. I feel like I don't know crap, but all the things I have learned from the people that I've learned that have made me successful, I feel I try to pass on, man, and give good information, and like with me, above everything else, what you will always get from me is honesty, bluntness, and amazing communication. Like that, it just is. Those are my 3 things, and they've served me pretty well. And I think that most people, that's all they want is honesty and good communication in this business. You just tell someone the way it is, whether it's good, whether it's bad. This is what I can or can't do. This is how we can or can't do it, when we can and can't do it, and just take it from there. And I think that spills over into everything. And a lot of people in this thing now, they just don't realize that, from all of our standpoint. But I've got to run. As y'all know, my old lady has to go to sleep early because she works Eastern time. So John, it was a pleasure finally talking to you. I will say, I know everybody says this, but you don't look anything like your LinkedIn picture. I really expected like this guy with long hair and like black eyeliner makeup.
I think somebody said I was a Star Wars character. I look like a Star Wars character. Maybe like an albino Darth Maul or something.
Oh man, you do. I'll tell you, that was one of the most exciting things. Like, man, I wonder what this guy really looks like.
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I would love to do this again at another time. I love talking to you guys.
Yeah.
I enjoy this type of stuff, and if we get the word out to the masses, and maybe we make a little dent, then when I retire, I can hoist up a cerveza in my little Caribbean island I'm at, and say salute.
I know that's right, and we'd love to have you back. And next time we'll have to promote it more. I know Hunter booked you at the last minute, but we had the Bodacious Cadillac Cowboy on a while back, and he promoted that one. Was awesome. Jason Rabine, I don't know if you know him, but
I know Jason. I know Jeff Dickinson. I've talked to both of those guys. Both of them are great individuals and really, really, really sharp people, really, really experienced, and really, really know their shit.
They do, and so do you. And my point to that is we want to have you back on, and next time we'll book this a little more in advance, put it out there, and have some more people on, and get some more comments and questions, and just have a good old time. So I appreciate you just sharing any part of your life or your night with us. I know we all know how this industry is, man. I'm actually been working while I've been on this podcast.
I've been checking email, so I'm good.
Hunter, you want to say anything before we leave, broski?
John, JB, thank you for being on, brother. Thank you everybody who tuned in tonight. Keep on trucking. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Hunter, am I going to see you at Top Golf on the 16th?
Yeah.
Put him on the spot on social media. That's the way you do it.
Just make sure I'm in your bay, man. Just make sure I'm in your bay.
Hey, man, you don't have to play. I don't play. I just go around and hold a drink and socialize.
There you go. Shit. What, is that on? If it's on a Friday, we'll do a live show. We'll get Rob out here. Just go around interviewing people on the spot.
I think it's Thursday, but it's that's the real quick plug for the Nashville Transportation Club.
Nashville Transportation Club. Yeah, we'll have that on here, man.
We raise scholarship dollars for supply chain grads, reseeding the industry. And it's a great time. We have a lot of fun, but we also help kids out. And education is extremely expensive these days. So anything we can do to keep reseeding the industry and paying it forward, that's what we're doing. Shameless plug. I'm sorry.
No. I was just about to say we are all about that. We actually have a guest, Truck Drivers Charity of America. They deal with mental health in the carrier side of things. So. Dude, we're all about plugs like that. And I was going to say, next time you come on, give Hunter and I some content, man, some websites, graphics or anything.
I should have done that. Yeah, I'm part of it.
Damn, jumping the gun. We'll
no.
set aside a specific segment just for you to talk about that, John. I'm actually really interested in that. I didn't know what it was. That definitely piques my interest.
Absolutely. Happy to do so. Guys, it's been great. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you, John.
And let's do this soon.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Have a good one. John, thank you again, brother.
Deuces. I didn't even end the stream. What a dumbass I am. Hold on.